Howdy. Counseling is overall a pretty helpful process, and research has shown that it has pretty good efficacy. There's also some solid research suggesting that there are several elements as to why counseling works. And in this video, I want to share a little bit about those areas, and in doing so, also share a little bit about what these videos are. Counseling works because of four reasons: what the client brings with them, in other words, the extra therapeutic factors, the relationship between the counselor and the client, the hope that counseling will work, and the actual technique that is used. Now, the first of those four are all the things that are going on in someone's life. And all of these things can impact how helpful counseling will be in meeting certain goals. And this accounts for the largest reason why counseling works, 40%. Now let's think about what this might look like. Let's say we have two people showing up for counseling, both experiencing symptoms of depression. One person has a steady job, has a stable living situation, and has the support of friends and family. The other person, who's experiencing the same symptoms of depression, might have housing insecurity, so they might be living in a shelter. They might have financial insecurity, as well as be isolated from friends or family and not really have a support structure. So treatment is going to look different for these two folks. The first will be able to focus on their mood right away, and the second will likely need some additional supports to kind of stabilize some things before making headway on their mood. Now, this doesn't mean that counseling only helps those who are in certain financial or social situations. It just means that counselors are going to need to target the work in different areas. It's all about the needs of the client and working to meet those needs. The second biggest reason that counseling works is a result of the relationship between the client and the counselor, and that accounts for about 30% of why counseling works. Counselors have a pretty good idea about what's entailed in that relationship, and they go through a lot of training to bring those qualities into the work. And now, as a counselor myself, working to understand and engage with people is my biggest focus. This is often central to the work that I'm doing when I meet with clients. It's trying to understand where they're coming from, make sure that we have a clear consensus about goals, and that we have a sense of alliance, that there's a genuineness, a trusting relationship developed there. Because that's going to be the most impactful part of counseling that I can impact directly. The third reason that counseling works is because of hope, which accounts for about 15%. This is the belief that counseling might be able to assist in a particular situation. It's sometimes referred to as the placebo effect, which often comes up when we talk about medication. When I first learned about this, I kind of interpreted it to mean that the intervention, like counseling, didn't really work. That it was just people kind of tricking themselves or lying to themselves. However, that's not the case. Hope is very powerful. And when we think about that as being something that kind of gives us the energy, the motivation, the belief that things will get better, so too, hope helps us be receptive to things that we might otherwise be closed off to. If I go and meet with a physician and I believe that they can help me, and then they tell me, Travis, go home and eat a lot of vegetables, I'm probably going to be more receptive to doing that. I believe that what they're telling me is going to work. On the other side of that, if I believe that my physician cannot help me, in other words, I don't have hope, and I go in and they tell me, Travis, go home and eat a lot of vegetables, I'm probably not going to be receptive to that. And I'm not going to believe that it's going to help me do anything. So hope is not only a powerful force unto itself, but it also makes us more receptive. And so that 15% is an important part of why counseling works. Finally, the fourth reason that counseling works is because of the particular technique that is used. And that accounts for that last 15%. So it's not just about what the client brings in. It's not just about the relationship. It's not just the belief that this is going to work, but it's also what the work actually entails. And ultimately, this work is very diverse when we look across different theoretical orientations. Might provide some education, do some skills training, some role playing, disputation of thoughts, bilateral stimulation, all sorts of fun stuff. Outcome and comparative studies have shown kind of a minimal difference between technique overall, though there are some important caveats. And there's a lot of flexibility about what is addressed in particular. Do we focus on thoughts, on our feelings, on our behaviors, on our physical sensations? Do we focus on the past, the present, or the future? And this might be why counselors have different theoretical orientations. because different approaches can still show some good outcomes in general. And gosh, technique is only about half as important as the relationship. And so while very important, and I don't want to negate that, it can sometimes take a back seat to the centrality of being present with each other in that counseling space. We have to think that counselors have only so much time when meeting with people, and focusing on the relationship, weaving in a few interventions, is really all that there's time for. Yet the ideas and work connected to these techniques can still be very helpful. It can change our understanding of ourselves and the systems in which we live. It can also open up new ways of acting, thinking, and feeling. And this reflects the bind that I find myself in as a counselor, kind of this internal conflict that I experience when I work with people. Essentially, I know that the relationship is the most important thing for me to focus on. But there's all this other important stuff too. What is addressed in counseling is really limited by comparison to what information is out there that might assist in increasing awareness and facilitating change. Therefore, I wanted to create some information to assist folks in learning a little bit more about those things that could be helpful to consider. These are things that have come up in my work, but they don't come up with everyone I work with because there's just not enough time. And it also wouldn't be the most helpful thing to do when meeting with people, just to sit there and lecture at them with a bunch of ideas that could or could not be helpful. Nevertheless, it might assist people to know a little bit more about this stuff. So this is the 15%. It's the ideas, experiments, behaviors, perspectives, like all that fun stuff that doesn't always come up in counseling. However, again, it might be helpful. And this is not all the stuff there is either. I mean, there are so many cool things out there. These are just the things that have excited me and also found traction with some of the clients that I've worked with. This project actually started for me as a part of my own personal growth, but it started to veer in the direction of sharing. And I think it can be two things at once. It can be both my own personal project and something I share. Or rather, the two can be transcended into a third, which is another fun idea. Regardless, if you decide to watch some of these, I hope you find them interesting. Just know that I do not speak on behalf of any professional association, specific theoretical orientation, or philosophy, and I do not speak on behalf of the profession, though I am a counselor. Additionally, these videos are not intended to be a replacement for mental health services. This is for education and exploration purposes only, and I am not making any professional recommendations to you in particular. It's important for me to say these things in order to ensure that I'm not misrepresenting myself, my profession, and I'm acting within ethical guidelines. Regardless, I do hope that you find these ideas enlivening and that you explore them a little bit more. Try them on for fit, see what resonates with you, hold on to that, and what doesn't, just let it go. Thanks.